Well, welcome. Very thrilled to have you guys here. I am Maggie, as I said. I'm U.S. Market Development Manager for Study in Wales. I'm sorry I don't have the accent you were probably hoping for. People tend to be really disappointed when I start talking. You will hear a British accent, but it's not from me. I'm from the United States. I'm the daughter of a guidance counselor. I've been obsessed with Wales since I was very small. I studied abroad here when I was 20 years old, had a really wonderful experience. And wanted to come back. So I came back for my master's where I studied King Arthur. That's a thing. And I stayed on for a PhD where basically I studied Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and fantasy literature adaptations. So if anybody wants to geek out, I got you. But for today, we're going to focus on an overview of studying in Wales, how it works, why you should consider it, just some really key points to be aware of. So without further ado, where are we? We are in Wales. We're in the United Kingdom, which is part of Great Britain, north of Europe. We're that bit highlighted in red there. I wanted to make sure I put all this on here so you can see how well connected everything is. Wales is about the size of Vermont in the United States. So it's a fairly small land area. It looks quite far from London, but it's only about 3 hours from North Wales and about 2 hours from South Wales. Regular trains every hour. I actually live in North Wales and I'm in London teaching every Monday. Super easy to get down there and back on public transportation. But we get to benefit from a lower cost of life, of an affordable place to live, really beautiful, really safe. It's also really easy to get to and from the United States. I used to drive 6 hours to my university from Pennsylvania to Virginia. Now I fly 6 or 7 hours from Philadelphia to Manchester. So it's a pretty easy travel day once you do it a couple of times. You just get used to it. Excuse me. Major hub airports are easy to access from each of our universities. The public transport system is fantastic in the UK, so you certainly don't need a car or anything like that. We're pretty temperate in terms of weather. Of course, it rains. It's the UK, but a lot of us boast from coastal areas, so the weather changes really quickly. You literally have all the weather in one day, all 4 seasons in one day. So here's the general gist of UK versus US. Why would you consider this? For me, it was all about location. I took this picture on my iPhone. This is like 20 minutes from my house. Absolutely stunning, really beautiful space, high quality of life, really affordable. But I stayed for the academics and the cost. So academics, we have shorter degrees. It's 3 years for a bachelor's degree, 1 year for a master's, and 3 years for a PhD. These are equal to US degrees. The only things that are tricky are certification courses. So it's just to be aware of that. It's the same as if you were certified to be a teacher in New York and you wanted to move to New Hampshire. You'd have to get recertified in that state. So you just have to see how your state would accept an international certification. Some places it's completely equal. Other places want you to go back to school for 2 or 3 years. So just be aware of that. That's about maybe 5 or 10 courses in the 250 that our universities each offer. The main reason I stuck around was cost. It is much more affordable than universities I was looking at in the US. The only 2 I considered in the US were $48,000 a year and $52,000 a year. The university I ended up at was $11,000 a year. And after scholarships, it was $7,000 a year. And for that, I used Fafsa. I got US federal loans to pay for my degree overseas. I became an RA. I got a part-time job. You find all these ways to manage the cost. So yes, I'm in debt, but I'm in debt about $30,000 at the end of a PhD. I'm okay with that. And I get to live in Narnia, so it's pretty great. The other thing I would say about focused with the short degrees, the reason it's 3 years is because it's very subject specific. We don't do general education requirements in Wales. So whatever you want to study is all you're going to study. That does mean that you need to know what you want to study. You have to have an idea of your major because you apply specifically to that program on your application. You don't need to know what you want to do with your life. You just need to know what you want to study. We'll help expose you to the jobs and employability opportunities in that field as you study, but we will make sure that it's part of the process of your education. So you just need to know what you're interested in. You can take other courses if they interest you, especially languages, other things that you just want to keep up, like music or something. You can usually sit in on those classes for free. It's just, if the professor's happy to have you in there. But it's not part of your degree. Your degree is just your degree. So that's why it's shorter and much more focused. Most of our US students do plan on staying with us for 4 years because they tack on that 1-year master's. So in 4 years, you have a master's, whereas in the US, that could take you 6 or 7 years. So you can see the real attraction of that. General excellence as well. We've got world-class institutions, top-ranked programs. We're really well known for a very warm welcome. There's excellent student support. We pick you up at the airport. We bring you back to the dorms. We run classes on how to open a bank account, how to get a doctor's appointment, just all that general living abroad stuff that can be, quite daunting as an international student. It's the first time for you. It's not the first time for us. So it's a very well-oiled machine, making sure that you feel comfortable and looked after and know where to go if you have any questions or problems. Also just want to highlight the safe and healthy atmosphere that Wales has. You'll have access to the NHS as an international student. So that means that all of your medical care, your prescriptions, everything is free. It's covered as part of your visa. Easy travel around the UK. 25% of the country is covered with a national park. We have 3 national parks. They're beautiful, very good outdoor education, outdoor activities, high quality of life. And we've got mountains of ocean coasts and lakes. We also have a really low crime rate, which obviously helps to have a high quality of life. So just a couple of things to note. We're really well known for employability. 92% of our graduates are employed or in further study within 6 months of graduation. Work experience and internships are built into most programs, so it's very industry focused. The second half of the beginning of my PhD, I was working on film sets. I was working with game designers. So you're immediately stuck into the industry that you're studying. We have more castles per square mile than anywhere in Europe. So you will see sites like this all over Wales. This one is 20 minutes from Bangor University. It's called Canarvin Castle. If you are a fan of The Crown, you might recognize this. This is where Prince Charles was crowned. We also have 3 national parks making up a quarter of the country and 870 miles of coastline. We're the only country in the world with a continuous path around its coast. And a lot of our students will take their spring breaks or their summer holidays to walk the entire coastal path, which is good fun. But it's not all countryside. We do have some wonderful city hubs. Cardiff is the capital city of Wales. It feels like London. It feels like a proper, giant city, capital city. It has pubs and theaters and restaurants and cafes and all those things that you would expect the capital city to have, but it's only 350,000 people. So you can walk across it in half an hour, 45 minutes, feels really safe, but it also gives a lot of opportunities to students. If they are creative studies students, we have a major BBC studios here, so they could work with BBC. If they're a political science student, the seat of the Welsh government, it's called the Senedd, is here, so they could do an internship with the Welsh government. So a lot of opportunities at our doorstep. Very safe and friendly universities. Campuses have excellent student support, as I mentioned. Lots of resources like helping you find housing, clubs and societies for sports and activities, religious events, anything that you want to get involved with. There's a strong community on these campuses to help you engage and become part of that campus. This is a fun one for most students to discover. All of our housing is single accommodation. Some places will have shared bathrooms, but most are your own bathroom. Every university will have some support for housing if they don't offer their own on-campus housing, but most do offer on-campus housing. So you are able to stay in a dorm just like it would be in the US. There's gyms and pubs and cafes and 24/7 support and things like that on campus. But if you'd like to live off campus, we also have private accommodation offices that can help review contracts, give recommendations of landlords they've worked with, and help you find what you need off campus as well. So I'm just going to blitz through some basic info about studying in Wales. Whoop, as I thought I should turn the light on because it's gotten a bit dark and that's really, really bright. Entry requirements, take this with a grain of salt. We're all a little bit more flexible this year and hopefully we'll continue to be more flexible going forward. We understand the issues accessing exams right now. So we're looking at each student holistically, looking at the big picture, case-by-case basis. You'll hear this a lot. But these are the main three things we're looking at. Wales is incredibly transparent on their entry requirements. We are looking for GPA, what kind of student are you, what level of classes are you taking, are they mostly focused in the areas that you wish to study? Standardized tests, have you taken them, ACTs or SATs, or are you an IB student? That's a separate consideration. The main thing is we're going to be looking for evidence of upper level education in the field that you want to study. Because we're subject specific, I mean, you're going to come straight into a chemistry degree or an English degree. We need to know that you're going to be able to handle that level of work. So we're looking for AP classes, AP exams, SAT subject tests, dual enrollment, community college classes, whatever can show us that you have that higher level of knowledge and experience with that subject. We only ask for one letter of recommendation, and it should be from a professor or teacher in that field. So it's great if you have a good relationship with a different professor, but we need that one recommendation to be from somebody that can speak to your ability in that area. You can always submit the second one directly to the university, just email it to the admissions office, but that one needs to be able to speak to your ability in that field. And lastly, the US personal statement, it's quite different than the UK one. I wrote mine about summer camp. You know, a lot of people write about their moms or horseback riding. Ours is very much like a cover letter to a job application. Why do you want to study this? What experience do you have? What got you interested in this subject? Did you do an internship? Have you shadowed anybody? Do you read some journal articles? Really tell us how this idea, this passion developed. And then just some general notes for the application, some things to keep in mind. Generally, we have a January 15th deadline. Just keep that in mind, but it is flexible. Most of our applications are open until June 30th, and even after June 30th, we release the spaces that are still available in our courses, so you'll be able to know which courses still have opportunities for you to apply to. So that means seniors, if you didn't get into your first choices, you have other opportunities throughout June and July to apply to a UK university. Apologies for my barking dog. All right, I'm going to pass this over to the universities. We have 8 universities in Wales. These are the 8 of them. I'm going to pass it on to Jackie from Aberystwyth first to start. Jackie, if you'd like to turn your camera on and just let me know when I need to advance the slide.
Yeah, there we go. I clicked it 3 times. I'm just going to apologize also for not having a British accent. As Maggie did previously. I am originally from the United States. I came over to study my postgrad degree, so I did my undergrad in a tiny little college in Indiana. That's where I'm from, so if you're from the Midwest, yay. And yeah, I came to Aber and I loved it, and I decided to stay. So if you don't know where Aberystwyth is, or if you're wondering how to say it, how I like to say is, imagine the band ABBA, and then wrist, Swift. Aberystwyth. That's the easiest way to pronounce it. We are a coastal university, as you can see from that brilliant picture, and we are right in the middle of Wales. So in the little green in the map to the right there, you'll see Aberystwyth. It kind of has this like beacon going on, and that's where we are. We are the end of the line from a direct train from Birmingham. So Birmingham is the easiest airport to get into, and it's a 3-hour train ride. End of the line, you cannot get lost, but we also do airport pickups as well. You can reach us through London and Manchester as well. It's usually just taking a train from London or Manchester and then getting into Birmingham, and again, that direct train into Aber. Next slide, please. And as Maggie said, the entry requirements, they're pretty standard across the board. We have updated ours just slightly since sending these slides in. Oh wait, no, this has it off of here. Okay, so yeah, we want the GPA of a 3.0. We originally did need the SAT or the ACT, but this year we've just completely scraped it off. We understand students cannot take it, so, and that they're having hard difficulties getting there. So we are not requiring it at all. So do not worry about taking the SAT or ACT for this year. In the future, this might be replaced with an in-house entrance exam, but right now we just are not focusing on it. We do still need the 2 AP tests or the 2 dual credit college classes, again, in the chosen subject. If you are studying in an IB program, we're going to look for 30 to 32 points. And if you're coming for the postgraduate scheme, we're just looking for a bachelor's GPA of a 2.6. But again, that varies from department. Next slide, please. Can everyone hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up, because I just get a message that there was no sound. Yep,
we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So the student experience, we have multiple different options. As Maggie was talking about, we are really safe. We have peer-to-peer schemes. And again, that's going to be something similar across the board. Aber specific though, that peer-to-peer scheme, when the first year comes in, they're paired off with a third year or a postgraduate student, someone who's been in Aber for a while and is able to kind of help them adjust to living here as well. We have an international English center. So if English is not your first language, we can help you with writing essays. We have an in-house writer. We have a writer in residence. So this is a published author or journalist or whatever. They come in, they live in Aber, and they can help you with looking over your writing as well. We have an international student advisor. This is our immigration advisor. So they will be able to help you with applying for the student visa every single step of the way. We have a careers office. They can help you with your employment scheme. So as Maggie was saying, that a lot of the degrees here are going to be 3 years. Some of them are going to be 4 years at Aber. That's because that third year between your second and last year is a year in industry. So you're put full-time working in that third year. It could be paid, it could be volunteered, but the careers office helps you find that. And they also help you fill out the resume, get all your references in order. And then we have a students union. And for those who are unfamiliar what a students union is, it's basically your hub where all the societies are at. And we have tons of different societies. We have student societies that are focused on sports. We even have American football here. But we also have really obscure ones such as beekeeping and underwater hockey. Don't ask me what underwater hockey is, but we have it. But we have a wide range of interests. So whatever your interests are, we probably have a students union society for you. We are a smaller university. We only have 6,000 students on campus. So that means that you're going to get that one-to-one support, and your teachers are actually going to know your names and be able to help you every single step of the way. I know they gave me direct notice if there was any volunteer opportunities in town. I was able to go there. We also have the National Library of Wales here in Aber. That's our highlight right now, is that the National Library of Wales, as that, it's like the Library of Congress, but for Wales, where we have every single published book in the UK. We have a copy of that. We also have the archives and manuscripts. And so it's a wonderful place to study and a wonderful resource that we're lucky to have. And we have a variety of study abroad opportunities, including going back to the United States. So if you want to go and study in the US for a little bit cheaper, you could go spend that third year abroad in the US if you're so inclined, or you can go anywhere as far as Japan, China, wherever your heart's content. And yeah, next slide, please. And that's all for me. I'll pass it on to Lucy from Bangor.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Lucy and I'm currently in my 4th year of studies at Bangor University. I'm doing an internship this year with the International Education Centre, and I've just finished my last year studying my psychology undergrad degree. So first thought I'd just go through a bit of background of the university. So if you could go on to the next slide, please. Yeah, so we are situated in North Wales, in between the mountains and the sea, and we're really close to Snowdonia National Park, which is about a 20-minute drive from the university. So it is a really great uni for those who enjoy outdoor activities, especially those who are interested in water sports and things like mountain walking. We are a student city, about 10,000 students, so we are relatively small compared to other city universities. But I think for me, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to come to study at Bangor, because you get more of a closer community feel, and I felt like at Bangor you get more one-on-one support from staff and lecturers. Even though it does look like we are out of the way from everywhere else, we are really easy to reach from any part of the UK. Places like Liverpool and Manchester, about 2-hour train ride from the university. So I know a lot of students will go to Manchester City for the day, but then they always get to come back to beautiful, quiet Bangor. So it is the best of both worlds, really. And next, I thought I'd just talk a little bit about the School of Psychology, as I have just finished my last year studying. We are one of the UK's leading psychology departments. I knew straight away I wanted to study psychology at Bangor because the School of Psychology is really incredible. We're the only university in the UK that has an MRI scanner just for psychological research. And there's loads of studies that students can take part in. In my second year of studies, I took part in a study where I got the chance to have an MRI scan, and then I got to take home a picture of my brain at the end, which was really cool. And it is like a once in a lifetime opportunity that you don't really get anywhere else. So there is some amazing opportunities here at Bangor. Every academic stall assigns a personal tutor to every student. So that's a member of staff that you can go to with any academic or personal problems. And it's really great for international students to have that extra support while they're at university. And lastly, I thought I'd just mention the Skills and Employability Service here at Bangor. For me personally, I think that a great thing about the university is that they're always offering a wide range of internships, volunteering and other work experience opportunities. It's really great to improve your employability prospects, and they're also there to help with things like improving your CV and find jobs for when you leave university. So I think it is a really great service to make use of while at uni. And then lastly, I'll just quickly go over our entry requirements. So if you could go on to the next slide, please. Yep, so they are currently being revised, but the most important thing to take away from it is that we require a GPA of 3.0 or higher. And we also require SATs or ACTs and 2 to 3 examples of specialised knowledge in your chosen area of study. However, each application is assessed individually, so if you do have any specific entry requirement questions, or even if you have any general questions about the application process, you can email Peter. He is our regional manager for the US, and so he's there to help with any questions you have if you're interested in studying at Bangor. So his email is just at the bottom of the slide there in the blue text. So if you do have any questions about anything, you can email Peter, and he'd be happy to help with anything. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel and I'm an international officer at Cardiff University, and I'm the country manager for the USA. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about the university firstly. So Cardiff University is quite a traditional UK university. We were established in 1883, so we have lots of lovely buildings like the one on this slide here. We're also very well known for our research. So we are a member of the Russell Group. So for those of you who don't know, that's the 24 kind of leading research intensive universities in the UK, and it's a mark of quality that your students can pay attention to for evidence of the kind of education they're going to be getting. We're actually 5th in the UK for research excellence currently as well. So this means that students are being taught by industry leading experts who are really kind of cutting edge in their fields. We're also top 160 in the world as a university according to the QS World Rankings. We're quite a big university, so we have over 30,000 students, about 8,500 are international, and they're from over 130 different countries. So it's a very diverse university experience as well. We have a huge range of programs available. Some of the most popular ones with US students tend to be things like media and communications. So we have a very well-known School of Journalism, which is recently been relocated to be next door to the new BBC studios in the centre of Cardiff, but also things like international relations, biosciences, very well known for architecture, psychology. So being quite a big school, we have a really broad range of options available. We have a really good students' union as well, so we're 3rd best in the UK currently, and we have over 200 clubs and societies, so there really is something for absolutely everyone. And that is kind of the beating heart of the university. It's where students will spend a huge amount of their time outside of their classes. We have great employment prospects as well, 96% of graduates in employment or further studies shortly after graduating. So it really is a world-class education, and employers are aware of Cardiff as a name globally as well. In terms of kind of the student lifestyle, we guarantee university accommodation for international students for every year of their degree. They're not obligated to live in university accommodation, but it's certainly something I'd recommend at least for the first year, as it's such a great way to meet other students and kind of settle into university life. We're based right in the centre of Cardiff, and on the next slide I'll kind of talk to you a bit more about Cardiff as a city, because this is a really big part of students' experience of studying at Cardiff. So Cardiff is the capital of Wales, so I know Maggie talked about it a bit before as well. And although we're a capital city and you've got all the facilities of a modern European capital, one of the best things about it, and certainly one of my favourite things, is the fact that it's so compact, so walkable, and it's also one of the most affordable student cities in the UK as well. So you kind of get the best of everything in the sense that you're never going to be bored, there's always something to do, but you're never going to be breaking the bank, which is pretty nice. And the university is really right in the centre of the city as well. So you've got everything on your doorstep. There's no need for public transport really. You certainly don't need a car. Most students will get by walking or cycling. It's a very safe, very friendly city as well. Welsh people have a real reputation for their friendliness. Hopefully you'll see a bit of that today from us. But it's also a really green city too. So we've got over 300 parks and gardens throughout the city, including Butte Park, which is immediately behind this castle, which is right in the centre of the city as well. So there really is a lot going on in terms of kind of getting outdoors as well. Huge amount of shopping, sporting opportunities, cultural facilities, and we're just 2 hours away from London. So we're really well connected to the rest of the UK. And we also have an international airport. So for anybody who wants to use Cardiff as a jumping off point to explore the rest of the UK or to get into Europe as well, it's really easy to do that. Obviously at the moment, a little bit more complicated, but in ordinary times, it's not unheard of to pop to Paris for a weekend or you know, go to Madrid for a few days. But we're also really close by to the beautiful kind of coastline of Wales and easy access to the mountains as well. So Brecon Beacons National Park is less than an hour away. And if I could have the next slide, please. So I'm going to just kind of go over our entry requirements quite briefly. So we've kind of streamlined our entry requirements so that we're looking for either 3 AP tests or 3 SAT subject tests. The kind of bands of what we look for are there. It does depend on the subject in terms of what scores we look for and what subjects. A lot of our programs actually aren't subject specific. The way to kind of gauge it is if we ask for a specific A level, which is a UK qualification, we probably are going to be looking for an equivalent subject in either subject tests or AP tests. Having said that, we, like everyone else, recognise that things are quite difficult at the moment with taking tests, and so we are trying to offer as much flexibility as we can. So I'd always encourage you to reach out to me. My contact details are on the next slide. If you have any questions at all, I'm always happy to help. But we also look at things like the IB, completion of 1 year or more of a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree as well. So we are trying to be as flexible as we can. But as I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. So if you go to the next slide, please, Maggie. So these are my contact details. So my email address is on there. So please feel free to let me know if you have any questions about Cardiff. Thanks.
Well, hello everyone, and now over to me. And thankfully, because Rachel went ahead, she's managed to cover everything about where I'm from, except that we're a slightly different university in the city of Cardiff as well. I'm Nick Brabin, I'm the regional manager at Cardiff Metropolitan University, and I have responsibility for the Americas and Africa. Quite a diverse range of countries to look after, but certainly lots of experience and expertise that we can share with you along your journeys through either advising your students or coming to study with us. Next slide, please, Maggie. Some of the information is obviously not coming through very clearly, so just a little bit about us. We can actually trace our heritage back to 1865 with the Cardiff School of Art and Design, which was one of the first schools we had. However, we tend to be classed as a more modern university, having university status much later in our history. Some university representatives might actually remember us as the University of Wales Institute Cardiff, but we became Cardiff Metropolitan back in about 2011-2012. We have lots of different subjects that are very career focused, vocational. Some of our courses actually complement the more science related programs at Cardiff University, for example, and we'll touch on some of those as we go through. So if we take the next slide, please.
I see what I did there. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's my fault. I gave you the slides. Sorry everyone, here's a little bit more information. So we have about 13,000 students and we have 2 campuses in the city of Cardiff, and we're quite fortunate where we're based on our campuses are actually in very green areas, like the picture I have with me, which is our Kincoid campus, but also our Llandaff campus. All these words you're going to learn, all this and weird noises. Do apologise, I'm not spitting at you. So in Llandaff we have the schools of art and design, our health sciences programs, as they form part of a school which is sport and health sciences. We have management from everything like hospitality, tourism, accounting, finance, as well as general business management related programs. And then our School of Technologies, covering up everything from AI through to software development and engineering. Lots more programs coming on board as that school is rapidly growing. We formed that school about 2 years ago now. So we're constantly looking to expand our portfolio of courses. Next slide, please. And then in Kincoid, the picture behind me, is a more sports-related campus, but we also have our education and social policy programs. That school includes everything like drama, creative writing, teaching programs. Media and broadcasting is very popular with the students that we've been attracting from the US, as well as sport. A lot of interest that we have is that we're a very good sporting university and that our students can actually study any programme as well as playing sport along the side. So that's been quite an attractive feature for our US and Canadian students that we have been growing along the years that I've been at Cardiff Met. Next slide, please. And we try not to go into too much detail about entry requirements because obviously we've all covered quite a lot on this, but this is our guidance at Cardiff Metropolitan. What's great for me in my role is I actually see every single application from the US or Canada or the regions I cover. We do all our own in-house admissions, so I literally see the journey from inquiry right through to enrolment. I'm literally holding your hand through the entire process. So though you'll see a guide on the screen of what we look at from general entry requirements, we can look to be very bespoke and case by case. Obviously this year being such a unique year, we would obviously speak to a student or a counsellor to find out exactly the profile of the student that's applying. So please don't panic that you see something and go, oh, they're not going to consider any other grades or any other subjects. We certainly look at everything with a fine-tooth comb, and I make it very difficult for anyone to say no to a student. We have lots of options and different routes we can help them through that process. We do take transfers as well, so if anybody was to start studies in the US and then look, we would be obviously looking for like, as I would often say. So if you have very relevant experience, you may be able to transfer your credits to study with us and come into a later year of a degree program such as year 2 or 3. And of course, the beauty of one-year masters, we obviously can take a bachelor's degree straight into masters without work experience. Next slide, please. Our tuition fees, we obviously range from about £13,000 per year for undergraduate studies. So that's about $17,000, I think. And then our masters range from about $18,500 US through to about $19,700, which is our MBA program. We have been able to give scholarships in the past. We're just waiting for 2021 to be announced. They can vary from anything from £1,000 to £3,000, but we are hoping to have a few more scholarships available this year. As we've mentioned, we are Fafsa registered. A number of the universities are, so that's another benefit for students. And I note that we've had some Canadian counsellors and maybe students join us. So in Canada, we've had OSAP. We've also been able to take the BC Student Aid. So there are lots of different funding sources that we can help students look at for funding their studies to come and study with us in the UK. So for everything Cardiff Met, please get in touch and I'll hand on over next to our next colleague. Thank you.
Hi, so my name is Joanne and I'm here with Swansea University. So we are a university that celebrated our centenary this year. So we have actually been a university for 100 years, which is a great achievement. And one of the fantastic things about Swansea is that in the past 5 to 7 years, we've actually expanded the university. So we now have 2 campuses, which you'll see in both photographs. There's the Singleton campus and the Bay campus. So the top image is the original campus. That is the campus that opened 100 years ago. And it has all of the arts and humanities, the sciences, our medical school, or Hilary Rodham Clinton School of Law, and that campus is surrounded by Singleton Park. So with the park all around us, whenever our student body grew, we couldn't expand to build any more buildings there, so the government in Swansea, the local government, gifted us some land to build the second campus. And that second campus is very much focused on the College of Engineering, the School of Management, and computer science. So each campus has a slightly different feel, very dedicated resources and equipment for students depending on the types of courses that they study. And you'll see the kind of general overview information there for Swansea. So these campuses are based on either side of the city, and Swansea City has a population of just over 250,000, so a relatively medium-sized city in the UK. And the campuses are on either side, so the bus service actually does a 24-hour shuttle service between campus and to the city. So students can easily get around and go between campuses if they wish. But as Maggie said right at the beginning, because courses and bachelor programs in the UK are so specialised from the beginning, that students would only study on one campus. So whatever subject it is that students decide they want to study, all of their classes would take place on one. And if you can go to the next slide, Maggie. For some of the examples of the courses that we have, so for our North American students, these are some of the more popular programs. So because we have 7 different colleges, that sometimes it's quite nice to just pick out some of the top courses that students might study, and also for students and counsellors to see the different types of specialisations that are on offer. And one of the great things about Swansea, and Aberystwyth mentioned it at the beginning, was that the opportunity to do a year in industry. So instead of a 3-year programme, it becomes a 4-year programme, and students can go and work in industry for that year. There is also the opportunity for students to do a 2-week internship, shadowing opportunities. We have guest lecturers come into class, so there's a whole host of ways for students to really build their knowledge both in theory and in practice. And if you could go to the next slide, Maggie. So one of the key components coming out of all of these presentations for Welsh universities, and it happens a lot when we present together, is that we are all very flexible. And that's just something that's really important to know. We're both flexible, but also our application process is very robust. It's very clear. That students are expected to provide the same level of information, and because of the dedicated programs that students study, that there is that requirement for a subject test. So if it's engineering, for example, students would be expected to have mathematics as one of their core subjects. So my contact details are there, Joanne Hopkins, and we as a university, Swansea University, are also on Common App. So there's multiple ways that students can apply to Swansea from the US. And then the next slide, Maggie. So Nicola from Cardiff Met also mentioned the Fafsa process, and here at Swansea we have so the US federal loan, Sallie Mae, Montgomery, and also similar to Cardiff Met for Canada, that we have the BC, OSAP, and the Manitoba federal as well. And with all of the support that's on offer at Welsh universities, that with the Students' Union, with the different sports clubs and societies, and just onto the last slide for me, Maggie, is just some of the images of the campus. So at Swansea University, one of the real benefits for us is our proximity to the beach. So we, on our Bay campus, students can walk from class across a sand dune and they're right on the beach. So that photo of the students running on the beach is taken right on our Bay campus. So lots of sports facilities. We have students who join us to do sports programs alongside their studies. and also that there is the 50-metre swimming pool on campus there as well. So lots of activities, both as part of courses, but also extracurricular for students to enjoy. So yeah, that's everything from Swansea for now. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so I'm Richard Stacey and I am the US and Canada champion for the University of South Wales, or USW as we're sometimes known. So next slide please, Meg. So quite a large university in the UK with over 30,000 students, and again we can trace our history back in time, this way back to 1841. And we have specialist campuses in and around the capital of Wales, Cardiff, so 3 campuses in total. We're an employability-led teaching approach university, so everything we do is about getting our students into work as soon as possible. So first-class student support and pre and post-arrival, it's the same as all the other universities in Wales really, and huge investments with over £170 million worth in facilities in the last 7 years. Next slide please. So key courses, we actually have over 580 degree courses across our campuses in creative industries, computing and mathematics, engineering, psychology, science and sport. And we have students from the US and Canada in all these areas. So if you'd like to progress, Maggie. So the entry requirements, I'll just leave that there for a second, but as with all the other universities we've been presenting, we are going to be as flexible as possible in the coming year. We totally understand the situation students are going through in the US. So we were just encouraging all our US applicants to open a dialogue with us, with me, and we'll do our best to get you admitted within reason, of course. So fairly quickly, so why USW? Competitive fees and flexible entry criteria. We'll get you career ready, a comprehensive range of degree programs at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. We have 2 intakes, September and February, a guaranteed scholarship, so you don't have to apply for the scholarship. Each student from the US and Canada will be allocated at least £1,500 off their tuition fee. And you can take a virtual tour, just visit our website. And if you have any specific questions after this little fair is over, just contact me at richard.stacey@southwales.ac.uk. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kath Griffiths and I work at the University of Wales, Trinity St David. And I've been working at the university since 2001, looking after US students and Canadian students on study abroad, exchange, or for full undergraduate study as well, and for postgrad. Next slide, please, Maggie. We have 3 campuses in West Wales, as well as a London campus and a Cardiff campus. And each of our campuses offers a very different kind of student experience, but all of them, as with all universities in Wales, we are kind of very friendly and we have a community atmosphere for each of the campuses. Next slide, please, Maggie. Our Lampeter campus is our oldest campus of the university, and it's been at the heart of Wales since 1822, and we're just gearing up now for a big party in 2022 for our 200-year anniversary. Our Lampeter campus is quite similar to a liberal arts college in the US. It's our smallest of our 3 campuses, very much focused on the liberal arts and humanities, so history, archaeology, classics. Creative writing has always been very popular with US and Canadian students. Many students transfer from community colleges in the US and Canada as well as full-time undergraduate study at Lampeter. Next slide, please, Maggie. Our Swansea campus, as Joanne mentioned, it's by the beach, and you see it's got a huge coastline there that's really close to our campuses. We have 3 campuses in Swansea. We have the business campus, which is right in the city centre. We have Swansea College of Art, which has anything from fine art to animation to product design and media and design as well. And we also have a new SA1 campus not far from the Swansea University campus, which is a recent development, which has things like engineering, motorsport engineering, which quite unique course, motorcycle engineering as well, and psychology and education on the Swansea campus. Next slide, please, Maggie. That's just more pictures of the Swansea campus. You can see the new campus there in Swansea. It's very much academically minded, but commercially and industry focused in Swansea. Next slide, please, Maggie. Our Carmarthen campus is the 2nd oldest campus of the university, founded in 1848. It started as a teacher training college, and education still is a very important course within the campuses as well, but very much the arts and the outdoor education as well is an important part of campus life. There are 1,500 students in Carmarthen, 600 live on campus, and as with all the universities, we work closely with you to find you accommodation close by. And one thing that's quite unique about all our campuses is that we bring as many international students together on weekends to show them all the beautiful places in Wales. We have a cultural programme to introduce students to Wales and Welsh culture, a programme we call A Sense of Place, that's been going for the last 20 years or so, which is really nice for students to see so many places that perhaps they wouldn't get to. Next slide, please, Maggie. And there's my contact details. Again, with our entry requirements, we are, especially this year, very, very flexible. And I'm the main contact from inquiry right through to the day you leave for US and Canadian students. So any questions, and I've recently just done a YouTube video, so you'll see more of the campuses. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tony. I'm Tony Owen. I'm the International Recruitment Manager from Wrexham, Glyndŵr. Glyndŵr is actually the name of a famous 15th century Welsh prince, and the name was decided just a couple of years ago to rename the university. Maggie's already shown you the beauty of North Wales, and it was actually named amongst the 5 top places in the world to visit in 2017 by Lonely Planet. So what we'll do now is have a little look at Wrexham itself. Can you change the slide? Thanks, Maggie. So Wrexham is the largest town in North Wales. It's full of the kind of facilities and attractions which you'd expect a town which is home to more than 130,000 people to have. We have 4 campuses within close distance to each other. The main campus is Plas Coch, which is next to the general train station and the dual carriageway, which provides easy access to cities such as the beautiful city of Chester, which is only 20 minutes away, Liverpool, which is 45 minutes away, and Manchester, which is 60 minutes away, and where most of our international students arrive, where we can offer, like most of the universities, airport pickup. You can also easily get to the North Wales and beyond. Plas Coch also is where our main accommodation block is situated. There's also a large contemporary shopping and leisure centre within Wrexham, where the students can enjoy their downtime, where we have a cinema alongside 10-pin bowling, shops and restaurants. Right next to the university as well, we have the Wrexham Football Club, or soccer as you'll call it. This is the home ground for the Racecourse Stadium. It's next door to the university's main campus, and it's the 3rd oldest club in the world and the oldest international football stadium in the world. A lot of excitement about that at the moment because it's actually just been bought by Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. Okay, move to the next slide, please, Maggie. Okay, so Wrexham is basically a young university. We were established in 2008. but we do have precursor institutions dating back to the late 1800s. So there's been education on the site itself for a very, very long time. Our Plascoch campus on Mould Road is home to the majority of the university's courses. The campus is a mix of Grade 2 listed buildings and modern 21st century facilities and state-of-the-art education centres. It's just a 10-minute walk from the town centre, 5-minute walk from the railway station, and is easily accessible by road. Our total number of students at the moment figures around 6,500. Okay, next slide, please. I'll quickly move on to our unique selling points. What makes us different? I will highlight the first 5 as an example. So you see here that we are an industry-led and career-centric university with close links to business. These links are with major employers, including Airbus, which is just 15 minutes up the road, and serves our engineering course, especially with aviation engineering. We have Sharp, and on campus we have the North Wales BBC station. We are the 8th cheapest university in the United Kingdom to study. Our course fees, our standard tariff is 11,750 at the moment, but at this moment we are offering all international students a scholarship of £2,000, which means that students would be able to study with us for £9,750. Approximate living costs per year are around £9,000. So we are a diverse, welcoming university culture and with a dedicated student support. We have continuously been #1 in the UK for social inclusion. We have just actually been awarded that again by the Sunday Times Good University Guide, and our Students' Union again has won numerous awards. More recently, our Campus 25 has seen a £60 million investment, which is going into facilities and resources. Okay, if you can move to the next slide, please. I will quickly go over, as you can see, we have 4 academic schools: our creative arts, social and life sciences, applied science, computing and engineering, and the North Wales Business School. I'll quickly go over a couple of the programs that we offer. We offer that are very popular with American students. Our forensic science, our BSc in forensic science, we offer a numerous scientific disciplines and how they can be applied to investigate a wide range of crimes. This program has been tailored to train students to become competent and skilled scientists, where they're able to conduct the analysis of materials, interpret complex results, and present their evidence as expert witnesses. In engineering, our popular course is Aeronautical and Mechanical Engineering. And as I said, we have close links with British Aerospace, which is just up the road. We are #1 in the UK for course satisfaction. Garden University League Table 2009 cited this. This course will ensure that their students have key skills and thorough knowledge for a successful career in aircraft and modern engineering. I shall lastly jump onto a brand new course, which is an exciting one that we've had and links in with Ryan Reynolds and the Wrexham Football Club, which is a football coaching and performance specialist course, a degree which is designed in partnership with the Football Association of Wales, which will expand students' football-specific knowledge and the application of the football environment. What's special about this is the actual price of it. We will charge £9,750 as said, and that includes lots of extras, such as the UEFA License C certificate, the Football Leaders Award, and various others, including first aid and safeguarding, which would normally come to a total of £15,700. So it's a very good bargain for students. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, everyone. I'm just going to wrap up real quick with our last slide here, just to give you an overview of this. So just to recap, a degree from Wales is equal to a US degree. You just have to check the certifications for your state if it's teaching, law, medicine. We'll talk about pre-med in a second because I saw some questions come in about that. Shorter, more focused degrees. Comparable universities are obviously much more expensive in the US, so I hope you've heard how affordable these are in Wales. And you'll notice that every university does offer some form of scholarship. Usually they're GPA based, and it will be an automatic discount on your tuition, and it's usually told to you on your offer letter, so you know where you stand pretty quickly upon receiving your offer. A lot of our campuses are also Fafsa schools that you can use the GI Bill. We have rolling admissions at all of our campuses. So if you apply directly to the university, sometimes you can know within 48 hours if you've been accepted at that institution. And that's because we're so clear cut on the academic credentials that we require. It can take 3 or 4 weeks, so don't expect the 24-hour, 48-hour turnaround, but obviously it's going to be a lot faster than a US option. But there are flexible deadlines as well. So we use January 15th as a deadline. Keep that in your mind. But if you do need to go beyond that, you have that opportunity as well. Entry requirements are there, but as we've said, of course, we're all being much more flexible this year. Clearly, COVID has changed the world, but it has brought us opportunities like this to be able to reach out to you and connect. So, we'll find the silver linings wherever we can. Another thing to just highlight is options for deferment and preparatory years. With most universities, if you've been accepted for a first year of study, you can defer that for a year. So you can get your acceptance while you're in high school, take a gap year, take a couple classes to make sure that's what you want to study, do some work, travel, whatever it is that you want to do, and then you still have that offer for a year after your graduation. We also have preparatory years. So if you hear back from your university that you didn't have the academic credentials that you needed, you could enroll in a prep year. It's like a 13th grade almost. A lot of our unis call it year 0. It can be on campus at our universities, or it can be with a partner institution. So you can live in the UK, and you can basically just do this top up. So you can then enroll into year 1, ready, strong, capable, ready to go. So, and just to recap, it's not all work. We are very much a work hard, play hard location. Quality of life is just as important as the excellence of our academics. So with our locations, degrees, affordability, and the resources available, we definitely help you make the most out of your time in Wales. Living your own adventure, creating your own story. I mean, living proof. I never meant to live here, but it happened. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to ask everybody, if you'd like, to turn your cameras back on. I'll stop sharing my screen. We've got a couple of general Q&As that came in that I think would be good for us to address. I think just 2 of them. And then we'll offer breakout sessions. So I would encourage you to stay here for these 2 questions. And then if you want to speak to any of the reps individually, we can assign you to a breakout room from there. So the first thing I want to do is, Jackie, I skipped over one of your slides. I'm so sorry. Do you want to mention your scholarships and fees?
Yeah, so I will just quickly go over it real fast, which I was a dummy and I closed it on my end.
Oh, I can share it again.
Oh, it's okay, because their fees are pretty much equivalent to other universities, but our scholarships, we do have a range of scholarships. So not only do we accept financial aid and everything else, but we have new last year, so it was actually implemented this incoming September. We have the International Accommodation Award, and this is probably our big highlight, so I really wanted to highlight this. This means that for all of our international students, so this would include US, Canada, wherever you are in the Americas, you'll get your accommodation at no extra cost if you choose one of our specific accommodation options. So that's going to be our Court Mauer accommodation. But if you choose to go to some of our fancier ones, for instance, on the seafront, you'll get a £2,000 discount on your accommodation. So it's a two-step thing, but they don't need to apply for it. It's just automatically presented on their offer letter. But we also have an entrance exam now that we've opened up to all international students. So this was kind of revealed to me earlier this week, so it's not on the slide. But we have an entrance exam where students can sit and they can take it, and they can get 4 different types of accomplishments at the end of it. But the basic ones are, they can get £1,000 off, or they could get £1,000 off every single year, or they could get straight to an unconditional offer. So that means they don't need to submit their final transcripts. They already have their place sorted, and they just need to wait for the visa. And that's it.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you for that. I also just want to touch on pre-professional programs, because we get that question a lot. I can see all the IOs nodding. Pre-professional isn't a term that we use in the UK. You will actually study law, medicine, veterinary science. It's a full degree of that subject. Those are the tricky ones to transfer back if you're looking at certifications, so do be aware of how that would transfer back. When I worked at Bangor University, we did this comparison for nursing between Ontario and Canada, and it took about 2 years to do the credentialing to make sure it would transfer back easily. So it can be a bit of a complicated process for universities to match. the easiest way to do it is to just check with your state board and ask if they would recognize an international degree, and if not, what they would then require. Some places it's amazing. So if you study law in the UK, you can go back after an undergraduate degree and take the bar in California, Pennsylvania, and New York. They recognize an undergrad law degree as incredibly strong and ready to sit the bar. So if you pass it in those states, you can then take the bar in any other state. Conversely, if you study nursing in the UK and then transfer back to certain states, it could be an additional 3 years of education. So it's just being aware of that before you come. If you have a student interested in pre-med, or students, if you are pre-med track kind of idea, a lot of us were at the time. I went in pre-med, I came out film. We have to learn a few things. But if you know you're on that med track, we recommend taking something like biomedical technology, biomedical, biology, some sort of a medical professional bio degree. It will give you all of the credentials you would then need to apply to med school back in the US. But advisors, as I'm sure you know, many students start on that track and really find out they want to do laboratory work, or they want to do PA work, or physical therapy, rehabilitation. So it provides a lot of the ground-based exposure to those courses and gives you all the credentials if you want to go to med school back in the US. But it can also expose you to so many different opportunities as well. I will say it's very difficult to stay for medical school in the UK. There are very few spaces available for international students. I don't want to be discouraging, but I wouldn't bank on it. What I would say is that it's an excellent opportunity for undergrad. Finish it shorter, more focused. We have many students that will then apply for the one-year master's with us, as well as apply for med schools back in the US. And because it's so competitive, if they don't get into med school in the US, they then have the one-year master's to fall back on with us, and then reapply extra strong the following year. Does that make sense? Anything to add from the IOs? Or IOs is international officer. I don't want to just, that's the country champions. These are our US champs here. Fab. Okay, are there any other questions at this point? The only other one I'd written down was about entry requirements, but I think I answered most of those in the chat. So with anything, it's getting in touch with your country manager, with these US champions. Have them look at your transcript and tell them what you want to study, and they'll flat out be able to tell you if you'd be accepted or not, and if not, what they need to see. It's very transparent. We aim to be really clear and supportive. And like we said, it's our job to make sure your application is as strong as it can be to get into the university. We'll be very frank with you if you're missing something that we need to see. We want to make sure that you are going to be successful as soon as you arrive into your program. So it's about making sure that you have the academic capability to succeed in the course here. Thanks so much for coming along to the Studying Wales Virtual College Fair. Really appreciate your time here, and I hope this was helpful and useful. Our goal is to just make it as clear and straightforward as we can. And if you have any follow-up questions, you can definitely get in touch with me. All the information is in the chat box below. And if there's anything you want to follow up with, we look forward to meeting and chatting with you. Thanks very much. Diolch yn fawr.